All right, so for my project, I'm Jake Lucas, and I did a Pro Tools learning project. So, description of my project. Originally, I wanted to learn the 11 rack and recording, but it eventually turned into me just learning Pro Tools and how to work that. Uh, my plan. So, my plan started out with me just like, I wanted to. Here, I'll just read it off. So, I wanted to record and learn how to record, and then record, and then I wanted to learn how to edit and then edit. So originally I wanted to make a song, but with all the errors it was difficult because every time I got on there was a new problem with whatever, and it was pretty frustrating. But I learned a good amount of Pro Tools and like maneuvering around that application. It had a lot of memory issues because the computer it was run on didn't have enough RAM to run the program, so this error popped up a lot. The buffer size error. It said to increase the buffer size in the playback engine dialog. So I went up to the top and I found the playback engine dialog and it increased the buffer size, some samples, and then I played and tried to listen to my stuff, and then the same thing happened except it said try decreasing the buffer size. So that was kind of frustrating. Mastery of learning. Yeah, I learned a lot about Pro Tools from what I could with all the errors and like some editing tools and shortcuts, and uh, learned how to record using a MIDI keyboard, and like how to set that up. So right here are the navigation tools. So this is a cropping tool. So if you wanted to like crop your thing, you can drag and you can make it longer too if you want. This is just like a navigation tool, and then this is a grabbing tool. So if I wanted to move, like let's say I wanted to move this clip to this track, I could uh, I could just click and drag it up here, and then it would be in this track. And then this thing at the bottom, this is actually really cool. So if I recorded with a MIDI, I could adjust each of the notes because they're electronic. So I could, if I wanted to move this note right there, so if I wanted like an E instead of a D, then I could click and drag that one note, and then the chord would sound completely different, and I could adjust what I wanted. Like this is just me playing a few chords on the piano, so I could electronically adjust what I wanted to hear right here. So, so this is a track. This is like what each audio track looked like. So it has a lot of settings that you can adjust with. So here's the input and here's the output. So the input, what we used was a microphone that we put through the 11 rack that went to the computer. It was called the A.5 because we were using the fifth channel. And then the output was just some stereos we had in the studio. And then right here are some inserts you can put in. So if I wanted to put like a certain insert to make my voice or whatever the audio was, if I wanted to make it sound different, I could put it here in the inserts. And then over here, so this is the mute button. So if I wanted this track to not be playing when I listen through everything, I click that. If I wanted the solo button, this means only this track would be playing. And then this right here this is actually the record enable button. So whenever you want to record, you have to click the record enable button, and then you have to go over and click the record button, and then click play, and then that's when you could record. And I found myself a lot of time forgetting to hit play. I thought it was just recording when I hit record, but no. And so that was a little annoying. Okay, so here's another viewing area for tracks. So what you do to get here is the command equals. So it's just, this is the same thing as this, just rearranged in a different way with more options. So this right here is just the track, and then it has all the same buttons. You can adjust the decibel level, and then it has inserts over here, just like it did over here. But in this viewing area, you can actually use sends. So sends are if you wanted this track to go to a different track to have the same settings. So like if I had two audio tracks that I wanted to sound the same, I would send them to a stereo track that had a certain insert. So they would both be sent over there and have that same sound. Okay. So the resources I used the VisionTech Studio, which is helpful in like learning 11 rack and then like understanding how to use that with the mics. And then I also found this good channel called AIM TV, which had a lot of good Pro Tools tutorials, like a series of, I think 5 it was, that were really helpful for beginners. Okay, problems I encountered, there were a lot of them. They were different each day. The buffer size error I talked about earlier. The input from the 11 rack, sometimes when I wanted to record, this input was like blacked out, and so it wouldn't let me record from the microphone, and I never really figured out why that was happening. It crashed all the time when I opened it. The output didn't work, so at one point the stereos didn't work, even though they said they were hooked up, and the stereos were on and everything. It wasn't making sound, so I couldn't listen to what I was playing. Yeah, and the problems were different each day. Overview, although it didn't like work much because there were a lot of errors, it gave a good look to like how professional producers make music. My most successful moment was recording the first time using the Rode microphone, which was this thing that connected to the 11 rack and then to the computer. If I were to do it again, I would not use Pro Tools. I would have done GarageBand or like made a song or something like that. And that is it.